a lot of countries who takes an opportunity to tease Lee Yong-bo a little bit.
Shame they haven't put as much of a fight up on the court so far.
So far it's been a total whitewash of the Indonesian players, and I don't think we're going to see any of the Chinese players back off and rest a little bit. They're just going to go full speed.
But I think you were making this point yesterday. You're actually saving energy by going. I mean, they're only on court then, Kai Yun and Fu Haifeng, for 26 minutes. So, you know, they haven't expended as much energy as if you relaxed a little, when you can stay on court for maybe 40, 45 minutes.
And it's much better practice. It's much better confidence. So there's no point in not giving your best when you're selected for the team. And of course, for China, it's impossible in these surroundings not to give your best. An almost full audience cheering them on. So,
well, T.Sugiarto is the next Indonesian who has to try and stop this Chinese machine up against Chen, the world number 3. Our umpire calling the players together. Ivo Cassel from Switzerland. Looks like China can't even lose the toss at the moment. So T.Sugiarto, a player who's got a few wins under his belt. He's 23, but an international veteran, played in the 2008 Thomas Cup. 5 international titles, 9 higher than Grand Prix level though, 3 of them in 2011, up against Chen here, who last time out lost in the semi-finals of the Asian Badminton Championship to another of the Chinese team here, Dongfeng. Semis of the Swiss Open, the Malaysia Open, the quarters of the All England, but lost in the first round in Korea start of the year. He was down in the first game and had to withdraw. And I suppose in some respect, after what was a brilliant end to 2011, it's when he won those 3 Super Series events in a row, it's been a disappointing 2012 so far for him.
Yeah, you could say that, at least from exactly these 3 excellent performances. And as we can see here, his win-loss ratio in 2012 is 17 matches won and 6 lost.
Similar for Sugiarto, 13-1-9 lost. 18 in the world, of course, from a famous pedigree. His father, Ichuk, was a world champion in 1983.
And perhaps the best, or at least one of the best men's singles finals ever played at the World Championships.
Well, there you are. You look at that last meeting. Hold on, 18, 21, 21, 16. What happened there? Well, I can tell you, it was at the All England Championships this year, and Sugiarto had a leg injury that I think he said that was there from the week before, I think, in an event in Germany. So at 1 game all, he was forced to retire, but shows perhaps that we might have a tighter affair here.
Yeah, there's some indications of that. But then again, it'll be interesting to see the sort of intensity the 2 players are coming out with here. I'm quite sure that Chen will be as close to his best as possible at this moment. I also think T.Sugiarto will be giving it a shot here, because it's his first match for Indonesia. Didn't play yesterday against England, so
yeah, no Taufik Hidayat today for Indonesia. As we've mentioned before, it could well be China-Indonesia in tomorrow's quarterfinals if the draw goes that way. Very happy with what they've seen so far.
And T.Sugiarto is, of course, one of the hopes for the future in Indonesia, so I think he will be out to prove that. Hopefully he'll be able to prove that, so we can have an exciting match here in the 3rd game.
Well, so far, so easy for China. What about this men's singles?
Indonesian coach in the picture, Mulyo Handoyo.
So Chen Long off the mark. In some respects, it's the other Chen who's been the focus of attention in the last few months. He's the one that's come through and obviously usurped Peter Gader as the world number 4 to get into the Olympics. Chen Jin, who we'll see in action for the first time at this Thomas Cup in the final singles.
It's like the audience has slowed down a little bit, Richard. Not the same cheering as we witnessed in the first 2 matches.
Well, first of all, you got Lin Dan, who, you know, is the hugest of superstars here, and then you've got the excitement of Fu and Kai, the power and the skills that obviously just bring everyone alive, and this is pretty sedate by comparison, I suppose. Also, I suppose, I mean, not to get carried away with things, but China obviously have won the last 4 Thomas Cups. They only lost 1 game in the last Thomas Cup.
Yeah, in 2010.
Yeah.
Very effective play here from Chen Long.
You were mentioning yesterday, you just have to mention the word Kevin to him. Soon wakes him up. World Championships at London last year, first round defeat to Kevin Corden of Guatemala.
Good read here at the net. Was supposed to be a tight net shot from T.Sugiarto, but much too high. And an easy kill for Chen Long. Great rally here. could be what we have waiting for us in the next hour or so. Rallies like this, because both players rely on a more patient game plan.
As a coach, how do you play this? There we look at the Indonesian coach there. You know, in terms of speaking to the players beforehand, you know that, you know, barring absolute miracles, you're not going to beat China tonight. You know there's a chance that you're either going to meet them in the quarterfinals, if you get past that, then if not the semi-finals. You know, those are the big ones. Not tonight's not the big one. You're through already to the quarterfinals. So how do you play it as a coach?
Yeah, I think one of the best ways is to sort of set individual goals. Obviously, for Simon, there was nothing much to do, but Tommy, he's still a developing player, so there's lots of points where he could focus his attention. Even though Indonesia is not supposed to beat China tonight. For the doubles, it's a little bit harder, because I don't really think that any of these combinations will be fielded later on in the tournament.
But that maybe is part of the plan. Let's freshen it up tonight. You've got a world number 6 pair, world number 9 pair. Let's just mix them up.
Yeah, and avoid having already lost one match against a pair you're perhaps going to meet either tomorrow or on Friday.
Because the way Kai and Fu play tonight, you probably wouldn't want to go back out as a pair, would you? That's just long.
7-5. Service over. 6-7.
Unusual mistake from Chen Long. Normally very solid player, doesn't give away free points.
Service over. 8-6. Service over.
Well played here by T.Sugiarto.
Yeah, great leap, wasn't it? What do you make of that? So the news is that Lee Chong Wei looks like he's going to be out for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, it's not too bad. He can still recover and be ready for the Olympics. But of course, it's not nice to know that you've suffered an injury so close to the games, and it would have been better to get the match practice from this tournament and then rest a bit and practice full speed against the Olympics.
He was going to play Indonesia as well.
I think the positive part of it is that it gives his shoulder injury that he suffered earlier this year, it gives that injury good possibility of recovering completely.
And also the way he fell, and the tears that he showed, although Rashid Siddiq was saying it was tears for not being able to help out anymore this week. I'm not too sure about that. I think it was that he actually feared at the time that his Olympic dream could be over.
Yeah. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen in August in London, but if it ends up with Lee Cheng-wei standing on top of the podium with a gold medal on his neck, the explanation could be something like that the injury took a bit of the enormous pressure off him.
And that does happen sometimes, doesn't it? I cover a lot of golf tournaments. I always say beware the injured golfer, because expectations are huge. The pressure heaped on his shoulders, particularly regarding the Olympics, is enormous. The whole country is intensely looking forward to the Olympics after what happened and the disappointment of the final in 2008 in Beijing. You're right. You never know. It can, if he gets himself fit enough and he is feeling 100%, it actually might work in his favour.
Yeah, and perhaps 95 or 98%, which is of course very hard to determine exactly what percentage you're at, but it might also force him to rethink his game and play his shots a little bit more sharp in the tight situations.
Well, he enjoyed that quite rightly too. Very nice point one by Chen Long here. Moved around the court superbly well. And he's very much in control of this opening game now at 12-7.
It's just grinding points together. Seems that he's a little stronger in the attack than Sugiarto. They're both very good at moving the shuttle around the court.
What a nice rally here though. Oh, that's glorious. All about positioning, wasn't it?
Exactly, and so quick in his recovery from retrieving the attacking shots. Look at that. And there is no chance because he is totally ready. And we've discussed a lot about shot quality, and that was really what it was all about, his defense. Really, really good placement.
He's turned up the volume a little bit, hasn't he, in the last 3 or 4 points?
Sort of like a hunting situation here. Sugiarto trying to escape. Got shot.
Representing Chinese Taipei, Bai Xiaoma. Representing Thailand, Monty Pulanga Paseson.
Moment to regroup here for Sugiarto. The court had to be swept of perspirations, drops that have landed onto the court.
This is so hard. This is why it's so hard to play Chen Long, because if you fall a little bit behind, it's impossible to see how you're going to score 6 or 7 easy points. He doesn't give away easy points. Maybe one perhaps 2, but never 6 easy points. So Sugiarto is going to have to work really, really hard to get back into this game. Brilliantly played here by Chen Long.
15-8.
Tight matchup, setting up the win.
Service over. 9-15. Service over. 16-9.
Well, there's a real inevitability now, isn't there, about this game? Just wide. Obviously trying to find the lines, trying to find the perfect shots here, Sugiarto. Whisper away.
Yeah, and he knows that he has to put it really, really close to the line, otherwise it's coming back.
Service over.
Well played.
17.
Just spotted a little inaccurate shot and punished it immediately. T.Sugiarto.
Very warm in the arena here in Wuhan tonight. The River City, as it's known. Biggest city in central China. $10 million people, 4 million, I'm told, of them students. Quite a few helping out as volunteers inside the arena as well. Very friendly they are.
Service over. 18-10.
Nice.
19-10.
Right on the line.
20.
And it brings up
Game point. 10.
those 10 game points for Chen Long. Well, prolongs the inevitable, I suppose, for T.Sugiarto.
11-20.
Just wide this time.
12-20.
The thing that he can use these last rallies of the first game to is to sort of get an idea on how can he score in the second. Is there any weak spots?
Sugiarto given the run around. Chen Long enjoyed that. So he should. 21-10. Highly impressive. Again, just so solid. Not faultless, but very few mistakes in there. And a very nice way to seal it.
I've been quite wrong in my earlier predictions today, but I'll try another one anyway and say that China isn't going to lose one single game in this match against Indonesia.
That's not quite putting your neck on the block though, is it really? But having said that, it's not all gone China's way, has it, tonight in the women's singles? Wang Shijian has just lost their opening game against Nindawene Venetia against Indonesia. A drop game. Doesn't happen too often for China so far this week.
No, there's a lot of suspense around who's being selected for the Olympics. China has 4 players, can only send 3, so one is staying at home, and
so every performance counts, is what you're saying.
every performance counts, and my personal favorite to stay home in China is actually the player on court number 2, Wang Shijian.
Well, especially if she's playing like she is tonight, and that, I mean, that's why for the men it's pretty good. I mean, Chen Long's going, Chen Jin's going, and of course Lin Dan's going, and you know, in some way you can say that the Chinese squad tried to work for Chen Jin to get there as well. You know, there was a lot of focus on his performances, I'm sure, whereas for the women,
Second game.
it's rather than comradeship, there's more of a competitive feel amongst them,
Definitely.
which could be awkward because you're with each other the whole time, you know.
You could be
training.
number 3 or 4 in the world, but you don't get to go to the Olympics.
It's harsh, isn't it?
Service over.
Straight on the line.
I mean, I understand why you want to mix at the Olympics, you know, you want different nations, but surely the top 5 players in the world should qualify automatically, don't you think?
I think there's a lot of different opinions on that. We have to say that badminton is mainly played on top level in Europe and in Asia, especially in Asia. It's also important being an Olympic sport, so there's a lot being done to develop the game to other parts of the world.
Yeah, no, I get all that. I'm only you know, talking about 5 players guaranteed, you know, that's all.
I think in table tennis you're only allowed 2 players from each nation, and if you have 2 players, they have to be in the same part of the draw. Upper part of the draw, or the lower part of the draw.
Interesting, yeah.
Service over.
They don't want all Chinese finals at the Olympics. So
Yeah, no, I understand it. You want to spread the word. And it's great, you know, we had, is it Makielko was here this week, South African.
yeah,
And there's a Ugandan player who's going to be at the Olympics as well, and you know they're great stories. You know, these guys who don't come from badminton nations to achieve getting to the Olympics is a great achievement. I think the Ugandan, I was reading, can't remember his name, beg your pardon, but he said this week if he won gold he'd run through London naked. I think it's pretty safe in the knowledge he wouldn't win gold, but still.
I remember in '96, Danish international Thomas Stolausen also met an African player, and he said that he would actually rather have played the table tennis, but his father told him to play badminton. So,
well, and you know, we mentioned the name Kevin with, you know, Chen Long here. You know, there's a Guatemalan. I know he's playing a lot with the Spanish contingent to try and improve his game. But there you go. There is a what you wouldn't consider a badminton nation, but he was able to go to the World Championships, beat Chen Long, and make a run in the World Championships. And you know, that will hopefully inspire other Guatemalan people to take up the game.
definitely, but the problem is that there's such a long way to go, because you have to be in a good environment for practice. It's not enough that you decide you want to become a good player, and there isn't that much academies around the world. In China and Korea, I'm not aware there's anyone. There's some in India, and of course some in Denmark, and there's these BWF centers in Europe and in Asia as well. But it's really hard to break through for a player from a smaller badminton nation.
You have the big African championships, you have the Pan American Games, obviously those in South America and North America.
Yeah. So back to the Olympics qualifying. I don't mind restrictions. It could even go further down and say only one player from each country. You have to realize that it's the Olympics and it's totally different from being the best in the world.
I think just obviously we need to focus on what's going on here, and it seems pretty inevitable that China are going to go 3 up here and clinch the match. But on that point, then you get maybe the problem that, you know, you think, oh my God, I'm the second best player in the world or whatever, or second best in China, maybe the world as well, as is the case with the ladies. You then get people sometimes swapping nations, you know, and then you go down that problem, don't you, where, you know, they end up going to play for the Netherlands or whoever.
Exactly, and badminton has had a little bit of that problem in the ladies singles, where 9 out of 10 actually were Chinese at some point, but they were not all representing China. It's an even bigger issue in table tennis.
And maybe we got the reason why there, because you just talked about the Olympic qualifications even tighter there. You know, it comes down to finances, and if you're an Olympic player and perhaps an Olympic medalist, sponsorship-wise, you're going to be able to rake a bit more in, aren't you?
Exactly, and it means something for the players giving it a go to try to qualify for the Olympics. It could be a motivation when you're a young player. You want to play in the Olympics, and this time the Danish team is only half the size it was in 2000 in Sydney. So the qualification demands have sort of been tightened every year since then.
Because badminton is fairly new to the Olympics as well, isn't it? 1992, is that the first?
That was the first time in Barcelona.
A tight start to this second game.
Oh, really tight net shot there from T.Sugiarto. A bit similar start to the first game, so it will be interesting to see if we have
The
Chen
same kind
Long
of pattern, yeah.
overtaking the control, grinding points, nice and easy.
Six, four.
And there's a nice little game you can play for yourself at home in front of your TV screens or computer monitors, and it's called Spot the Weak Shot of Chen Long.
Good luck.
Seven, four. Eight, four.
Well, obviously our focus is on this match, but a little touch of controversy on the other court. Steen, isn't there? 8-4 now, Chen Long, and I think you're right in what you were saying about this game, that interesting to see now whether Chen Long just steps up again as he did in the first game. It appears to be the case. Sugiarto just winning that point, 8-5. But I mentioned Wang Suzian had lost the first game 21-17. She was then leading 10-3 in the second game when Lindoweni Fenetri, not injured. I've just watched her walking off court. Didn't seem to be any sign of any problem at all. Has stopped. And you're saying that's the second game in a row that's happened?
Yeah, it was the same in the first ladies single. That match wasn't finished either. Very puzzling.
Well, I can only assume a similar situation as in this game is that they could well be playing China again tomorrow. Save some energy, but I mean it makes a little bit of a mockery of things, doesn't it?
They played exactly 1.5 game in each match.
Yeah, so it's a tactic.
Eight.
Are you with me? It makes a bit of a mockery of things.
Yes, it does, but I also think it's a little bit funny actually. Because in this Olympic qualification period, we've witnessed a number of Chinese players withdraw from competition.
So ironic is the word, isn't it?
A bit ironic, and luckily none of the Chinese players have been injured enough to withdraw from this tournament so far.
It's almost exactly the same scoreline as well when
6-8.
Kusumas Duty retired. She was 11-3 down in the second game. It was 10-3 this time. Didn't even wait for the interval.
That is over.
He's taking his chances here, Sugiarto, but missed it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the post-match comments from the Indonesian team on the Uber Cup match.
Well, it's all happened today, hasn't it? Really, you know.
10, 6.
I mean, obviously, very sad watching Lee Chong-wei, but you know, obviously that's headlines, and then the standoff for the coaches over the seating. Now the early retirements. You know, you talked about the walkovers in the some of the matches, like Ling Dan, I think's retired from 7 tournaments early since 2010, the end of 2010. But BWF were commenting on that at the start of the week and say, and they're right. How do you test someone if they're really sick or not sick? You can't.
You can't. And to be fair, the Chinese players meet each other at far more occasions than any other nation. So so they would have a higher rate of withdrawals against players from their own nation.
Because in some respects as well, as we get towards the point, 10-7 up here, Chen Long against T.Sugiarto, it's going to be 3-0 in the scoreline. You could understand from both China and Indonesia's perspective that they wouldn't be too upset if the last two rubbers weren't played.
No. I think from an Indonesian side, you'd like to get some more time in the hall. There's also been some small dispute about that during the week, that there wasn't allocated enough training time for the international teams. And
yeah, the Malaysians complained a lot. They arrived, they had a time allocated to them before they'd arrived.
Yeah.
How on earth would they said? So they said to them, "Oh, we can give you one at like 11 o'clock at night or something," and they said that was too late for them. So yeah, there has been a few complaints. Well, you can't please all the people all the time, that's for sure.
I think China wants to play the matches. They want to show their good form to their home audience.
Cold 1, 20 seconds.
Well, they certainly have so far. Lin Dan, Kai Yun and Fu Hai Feng were absolutely superb, and Chen Long
7-7.
has, in his own way, also shown some great skills in this second of the men's singles, third match of the night. 11-7 he leads with a one-game advantage already.
Play.
Oh, nice.
He got that back, Chen Long.
Oh, some great shots from T.Sugiarto. They have to be great shots at the moment, don't they, to actually pick up the point?
It takes 3 or 4 great shots in a row to score a point.
He only just didn't get it back.
Yeah, and had he gotten it back, it would have been with great quality. Dongfeng in the picture, not selected today.
We will have the fourth match of Thomas Cup men's doubles in court 3. Representing Japan, Citroën, Naoki Kawamai. Representing Russia, Vladimir Ivanov, Ivan Sosonov. We will have the fourth match of Silver Cup women's doubles in court 2. Representing China, Zhao Yunlei, Chen.
Well, he's
Representing Indonesia,
won 3 points since the interval in a row here, T.Sugiarto.
And that was a bit of a loose shot from Chen Long here, way too short.
You get the feeling with him, though, don't you, that as Sugiarto gets closer, I'm not saying that will be the case, but you get the feeling that he'll then just step it up again.
Exactly.
this time from Chen Long. Write it down. 9:30, Wednesday evening.
Seems really unconcentrated at the moment. Bad shot again.
12-11.
Well, what was it? A nice run's turning into a long run since the interval. 5 straight points.
Time is over. 12 all.
Well, it's like order may
12.
be starting to be restored here.
Fourteen, 12.
Very, very alert there at the net, Chen Long.
Two goes at it.
Time is over. 13, 15.
Li Yangbo.
13, 15.
Of course, there's the want from, I'm assuming from all the runners up that they'd like to avoid China. But then again, you know, here in Indonesia, it's 9:30 at night. I mean, they've got another 2 matches to come. We're looking at maybe a 11:30 finish. Maybe a little bit earlier, but time you get back to your hotel, you know, showered, maybe something to eat or whatever. Yeah.
Calm down.
Yeah.
A bit too before you can sleep.
And they could be on court again tomorrow at 1. What would you? I suppose you'd rather the evening draw, but it all depends.
Yeah, it might be. It might be inevitable. It's not really a good way of doing this unless you play Uber Cup matches in the afternoon and Thomas Cup matches in the evening and so on.
They're mixed up 2 of each.
As long as you can't predict the draw that is going to be made here after the conclusion of the matches, it's impossible to make a much better schedule.
16-40.
And then watching his teammates, or his teammate at the moment.
He's showered and all ready for, I'm sure, a little bit of refreshment too.
17-40.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday, Richard, in the bus back home, that this continuous play rule, that there should be no breaks except at the scheduled at 11 and between the sets and between the games. Sorry.
Unless you have a broken racket or.
Exactly. But
I mean,
right now we can see that the pace is quite low.
I mean, earlier on, Bo and Mogensen, the Danish pair in their match, I mean, that just seemed to take an eternity. I mean, the quality of badminton was great when it was going on, but there was stopping left, right. I mean, there was one point when only one more point was required to go to the interval, and they wanted a break.
The enforcement of that rule might need a review.
Well, slow play is, you know, it's something that can harm games, not just in badminton but other sports as well. You know?
Just as we speak of it,
Mm-hmm.
the court has to be wiped, and it's of course necessary for the players' safety. Great retrieval.
Yeah, that's good.
That is over.
Well,
16-19.
maybe not then. Trying to get it through his legs.
Yeah, we must say that
Match point.
Sugiarto has really done what he could do in this match.
But he's facing match points now.
Yeah, he had his moments from 7-11 or 7-12 in this game, with a few loose shots from Chen Long, but otherwise it's been the Chinese in total control.
Well, I'm not sure if the celebration matched the intensity of the actual match itself, but it does mean that China are the group winners after that victory for Chen Long. An unassailable 3-0 lead now in Group A's top of the table decider. 21-12, 21-16 the victory margin for Chen Long over T.Sugiarto. Yeah, it's good to see someone enjoy their win like that. You know, he's not had a straightforward year, has he, Chen Long? So these wins are morale boosters. So there you go. 3-0. The overall scoreline. There's some of the stats from the match. Not surprisingly, Chen Long dominating, although in that game, Sugiarto won one more from the net. No high serves, though, from the Indonesian player. So there we go. That's how it stands. 2 down to go, and 3 up now, China. Straight games victories all the way through.